Welcome to the Office Hours, Episode 6. My name is John Fia. I teach history here at Messiah College, and I'm chair of the history department. I'm, of course, here as usual with my partner in crime in this endeavor, Sloan Swigart. Let's see that hand, Sloan. Okay, this looks like it's going to be a tradition. We have been talking the last several weeks about history at Messiah. Of course, we've been teaching History 258. That course actually is coming to an end. We have one more meeting of that course, but I think the office hours we're going to continue through the new year, and we're going to be doing some different things here and there as we think about the meaning of history in society, the place of history here at Messiah College, and who knows what else will come down the pike. Maybe some more interviews like we did last week with Megan Keller. I've been getting, as you know, I've been getting a lot of feedback from, I've said this before, from my founding fathers. They're back here over my shoulder. I don't know if you can see them or not. But this week I have another artifact. I don't know if anyone knows what this is. I always ask students what they think it is, and not many of them are sure. This is actually a skee ball. It's an old-fashioned wooden skee ball from the skee ball lanes down at the Jersey Shore. I think this comes from a skee ball lane down in Wildwood, New Jersey. But I thought I'd bring this today and give a shout out to everyone down at the Jersey Shore. As many of you know, I grew up in North Jersey, spent a lot of time down at the Jersey Shore vacationing, and they're going through some tough times right now with Sandy. In the wake of the Hurricane Sandy, they're rebuilding. They're trying to get the shore back up, ready to go for the summer. So I think this skee ball is a significant part of popular culture at the Jersey Shore. So I throw it out here. Again, it is solid wood. It's a traditional skee ball. They don't make them like this anymore. So a shout out for all of you down at the shore, especially those on the Barnegat Peninsula where I spent a lot of time, places like Point Pleasant, Seaside Heights, Lavalette, especially Ocean Beach, Asbury Park as well, Ocean City. Again, a lot of good work being done out there by my friend Brian Roberts at the St. Peter's United Methodist Church, in helping everyone get back on their feet, getting meals to people and so forth. So a little tribute today to the Jersey Shore and to the great boardwalk game, maybe even sport of skee ball. What we want to talk about today on the office hours is, and I want to do this for the next couple of weeks, maybe a three-part series here we could call it, but I want to think about the way Christians approach the past. We at Messiah are a Christian college. We thus think about the way the past relates to our faith. If you are not a Christian, or you're not interested in thinking about this, maybe you may not get much out of our session today. But if you are, and you're interested in thinking or just knowing about how Christian historians think about the past, hopefully there'll be some things that are helpful over the course of the next couple of office hours. Today we want to talk about one specific dimension, or at least as I see it, one specific doctrine or Christian belief that may have or may come to bear on the way we study the past, and that is what we call Imago Dei, literally meaning in the image of God. The Judeo-Christian idea, very much in the Jewish tradition as well, that all human beings are created in God's image. What does that belief, if you believe that and you believe in that doctrine, what does that belief have to tell us about how we do history, how we think about history, write history, even develop a history curriculum at a college like Messiah that takes that ideal seriously? Of course, this idea of the Imago Dei, or the idea that we've been created in the image of God, comes directly from Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 through 27. Let me read that for you. Then God said, "Let us make mankind in our own image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over the creatures that move along the ground." So God created mankind, or humankind, in his own image. In the image of God he created them, male and female he created them. Inherent within that passage, I think, is the notion that all human beings bear in some ways the image of God, and thus have a certain sense of dignity and worth and value and importance. Anyone who's familiar with the Judeo-Christian heritage or the Judeo-Christian ideals knows that these religious traditions value life. They value the importance of life. And this commitment to life should obviously translate into a lot of the ways they think about not only the past, but the present as well, and their social convictions on a whole host of matters that we won't get into right now. So what if we were to think about the Imago Dei, or to take the Imago Dei seriously when we study the past? Well, one of the things I often tell my students is there are people in the past who do what we might call evil or villainous things. All human beings are created with free will, the church believes. And as a result, they're going to do things that are flawed. Their people are flawed. We'll probably talk about this next time, the idea of human sinfulness. But the very fact that we're created in the image of God also implies that all human beings have dignity and worth. Their lives are important. And in the fact, in the eyes of God, there really are no sort of villains by nature, or people are not evil by nature to the extent that they are all redeemable by God. And thus, if we view human beings the way God views human beings, it may shape the way we do history. It may also shape the way we create a curriculum at a church-related or Christian college. If we took the Imago Dei seriously, we will be offering courses about all kinds of people groups that have existed in the past. Non-Western, European, American. We at Messiah have tried to take this idea seriously as we teach courses in African history and Middle East history and Southeast Asian history and Native American history and African American history, along with the traditional courses of the American colonies and the Civil War and 20th century U.S. And Western civilization and so forth. Everybody's stories count. And I think that's what the Imago Dei teaches us. And in some ways, by using the Imago Dei, Christians are in many ways acting in a way or doing history in a way that's very, very compatible with the profession. The new social history in the 60s and 70s was not, these advocates of the new social history were not going around saying, well, we believe that slaves and Native Americans and so forth should be put into the narrative of the United States because they're created in the image of God. Few of them were using that kind of theological language. But when you think about the Imago Dei and its impact on history, certainly much of the way we would include all people groups in our curriculum really is quite compatible with the new social history that developed in the 60s and in the 70s. So if you take the Imago Dei seriously again, I think you sometimes, especially in my field of American history, you have to move beyond what we talked about a couple office hours ago, the Whig interpretation of American history. Again, think about, for example, the American colonies. Why do we study the American colonies? Well, a Whig interpretation says we study the American colonies because the seeds of the American Revolution are there, the seeds of liberty and progress and freedom and so forth. If that means the actors that we may want to focus on in a Whig interpretation of the colonies may be those actors that only contribute to the great story of progress and freedom, the Revolution. And as a result, we may not want to focus too much on the poor, or women, or the enslaved, or the oppressed, or so forth, simply because they do not fit very well in this inevitable story, this story of inevitable progress in Whig history. One of the great books on this in recent years has been Alan Taylor's study of the colonies. American Colonies is the title. And one of the things that Taylor does in this Pulitzer Prize winning, he's a Pulitzer Prize winning historian, I should say. He didn't win it for American colonies. But he points to the idea that if you throw the Whig interpretation of American history out, you begin then to see a different kind of revolution happening in the colonies, a different kind of profound change going on in the colonies. In other words, as Europeans come to the New World, or the so-called New World, the interaction that they have with Native Americans, the interaction that they have with slaves, both affects and changes the lives of the slaves, of the Native Americans forever, as well as changing the mentalities and the mindsets of the Europeans who are forced to encounter them in the New World. So the real revolution here, Taylor argues, is not what happened in 1776, but it is the profound change in terms of consumer culture, in terms of material culture, in terms of lifestyle and religion and social history and so forth, that the European settlement of North America shaped or created when these Europeans began to encounter these new people groups, and vice versa. So Taylor and James Merrill, also a Native American historian, does a lot of this as well, redefines this whole concept of the New World. The New World is not something that Europeans came to discover, so to speak, but the New World is something that affects everybody in the mix. Certainly it is the Native Americans or slaves and so forth who experience just as much of a new world as the Europeans coming over. So, there's some critics who might say, well, this kind of approach to the colonies is political correctness, it's not patriotic, it puts the focus on too many voices that don't necessarily contribute to our civic understanding of what the United States should be. I would argue that, again, I want to hear the voices of Native American slaves, women, the underprivileged and so forth, not necessarily because I want to be cool or politically correct or in touch with the liberal historians who are shaping the agenda of early American history, but rather if you have the Imago Dei as your starting point, I think all of these voices have to count. So I think it's something to think about. How does our theological convictions, and I think all Christians of every stripe would eventually have to admit that, the idea that we're created in the image of God goes to the foundations of Christian faith and is an important tenet of Christian faith. If that's the case, then what does it mean for how we do history? I'll close today with one of my favorite theologians, Yale theologian Miroslav Volf. And Miroslav Volf says in his book Exclusion and Embrace that God sees each human being concretely, the powerful no less than the powerless. God notes not only their common humanity, but also their specific histories, their particular psychological, social, and embodied selves with their specific needs. What if we took that idea seriously? How might it shape the narratives we tell, the stories we tell about the past? And the voices that we give credence to and dignity to and agency to in our work. So something to think about, the Imago Dei and the way it shapes thinking. Maybe next time we'll talk a little bit more about the way the Christian doctrine of sin impacts the way we do history as well. So thanks for being with us. This is our last office hours before the holidays. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all of you. And we will see you back in January with more of the virtual office hours.